All right.
Good afternoon, and it's Small Biz David here, and welcome to our welcome to a Wednesday afternoon session of Dreaming with Entrepreneurs. And we're going to do some dreaming and some real life discussion with an individual who I've been following for quite a while, but we just actually, well, I guess, Ben, we kind of met. We were in a hangout together, and was it Mia's hangout? I think maybe.
Yeah, we were on the HOA 4 hour HOA-a-thon at different times. I think we're on. No, we were at the same time slot, and then we hooked up about 2 days ago, right before the show, and we had a nice little marathon of our own.
And the first of many marathons I think that you and I are going to have. It
Absolutely.
isn't this whole HOA Google Plus world and in all your years of business. Have you run into anything as fascinating and intriguing and mystifying as all of this?
No, no. I mean, absolutely not. I mean, well, first thing I want to do is I want to say happy hump day, fist bump day,
There you
everybody.
go.
Boom, fist bump. Yes, it's Wednesday. All right, so I got that out of the way. Anyway.
What is this? This is a commercial for Geico? What is this?
But you and I have talked about this, right? And that is that, we in the past, it's all of the networking has been about going to, a conference, or you go to a little networking event, or you sit down for coffee with somebody, and it's like, you and I have done this a couple times already, but you end up with a bunch of these.
What are those? What is that?
This is a stack of unorganized business cards from an event that I don't even remember.
Oh, so it was a lot of it was real meaningful, and it's great that you took all those cards away.
Meaningful connections. I mean, I know every, well, no, I know that guy. I've got some notes about this guy, but I really don't even really, well, actually, I know these guys too. I do know them personally,
It's
but we don't
oh,
talk a lot.
Lido. Do you know the Lido folks?
Oh yeah.
Boy, I did business with them years ago. What are those folks doing these days?
Oh, they're doing some great things. They were acquired recently, and man, they're taking over the world. But we got some like
Really?
Limestone Networks. I know those guys. Haven't talked to them in ages. Komodo Networks. But anyway, point being is that got these stacks of business cards, and the relationships with these people. I see them maybe once a year. Once a year, we see each other. We stand around in a circle. We all talk. We say, "Hey, how you doing? How's business been?" "Oh, things are doing great. Things are awesome. We've got blah 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 going on and blah blah. We should do blah 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 together." And that's pretty much, it's you got the wah, 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 wah going in the back of your brain. Like, that is very interesting. I'm glad you told me that. Looking for opportunity, looking for opportunity. Oh, hey, we should do this together. And then a year later, we have the exact same conversation. Almost to the T, the exact same conversation. Why? Because we're busy. We're very busy. Every single one of us is busy, either in our personal lives, or we're busy growing our companies. We're busy with our people, our clients. And so these business cards, they end up in a database. You might end up making a phone call, which does not get returned because the other person's doing the same thing, right? And out of 100 people that you've interacted with, you'd be lucky if you get one meaningful connection, and that actually turns into action, because that's the other problem, is making actual action and people doing things. And where I think that the technology of Google Plus has really brought a lot of beauty to networking is the fact of, we can instantly connect, you know, not through a chat, not through telephone, but visually. We can instantly connect with each other. We can actually forge a very, very solid relationship in less than 1 hour, just by going over our backgrounds. And the beauty is that 9 times, at least in my experience, nine out of 10 hangouts that I have with somebody turns into something actionable.
Wow, that's a high percent. That's a great percentage. Why would you ever want to do anything else?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think it's because of the beauty of the platform itself, and that is the relationships and the kind of people that gravitate towards you and the people that you gravitate towards. You're already, you look at like Nodex and you can see the gravitational pull of like-minded people. And I think that's the big difference. In offline networking, you're meeting randoms or you're meeting friends. With Google Plus, you are meeting people that are basically just like, you're atoms. You're already floating around each other. You just need something like to bring you together, and Hangouts does that.
And also, while it's Hangouts and it's the streams that we read about, I spend, and for right or for wrong, I spend close to 100% of my time inside of Google because it's doing all the things that I want to do for myself. So why go any place else and just put time into another entity? I know it's gonna happen here. I know it's gonna happen, and that's the beauty that I on efficiency. Number one, and also, you and I can look each other in the eyes, so to speak, and eyes tell a great story. And that's we have the ability to share that. I want to go back, take a step backward for a moment, and typically the first question that I like to ask in our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs brand is, what was that defining moment in your life when you said, you know what, I want to be an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur, not want to be. I am an entrepreneur. I have something of value that I want to take to the marketplace, and I'm going to pour all the passion that I have inside of me to make it happen.
Wow. So we talked a little bit about this before. And I think I'll bring that moment to, even though I was an entrepreneur a little bit before that, I think I'll bring it back to when I moved to Flagstaff, Arizona. I had turned down a job for $250,000 a year doing Novell networking for a fairly sizable company to go live in Flagstaff where my sister was, and mainly because the people were just awesome. They were like me. They were nice people, giving people in Flagstaff, versus where I grew up, which was New Jersey. Yeah, I still say water. Okay. So, but what occurred to me is that I was doing computers repair at that time, actually, just computer repair. And I started working for this small computer company, and they basically they paid my way out there. And so I walk in and get myself acquainted with the company, and they got about 60 computers sitting in the back closet, just kind of all stacked on top of each other. And I asked the manager at that time, I was like, so, why are those computers back there? They look like they're collecting dust. How long have they been back there? And he said, some of them 6 months, some of them a year. I was like, so don't you think they should get fixed? Don't you think people are missing their computers? And this was in '94, by the way. So internet just kind of getting really, really started. And and there was a lot of students that had computers there too, so they really need their computers. And he was like, well, we get to them when we get time. Maybe we'll do 1 or 2 a week. And me, I'm thinking from an efficiency standpoint, 1 or 2 a week. Okay, so you've got 5 to 10 new computers coming in every single day. You're getting 1 to 2 a week out.
It was really literally that bad?
Yes, it was literally that bad. And there was like only one other computer tech, that worked there. So just 3 people in a sense, plus the owner. And so me, I came from Jersey, and I came from, building. Yeah, exactly. It's like, go, 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 go. And, you had to really be very competitive, and you had to know your stuff. And the previous job, I had increased their assembly line efficiency by about 60% in 3 months. So, I came in and I was just like, well, okay, the right thing to do here is I'll just come in over the weekend and fix them. I'll just fix as many as I can. So I came in over the weekend and I fixed all 60 of them. Boom, I had them out in the front room burning, antivirus is running, everything, fully fixed, done. It was like silly, stupid stuff, like, like an ATA cable was unhooked, or, there was like, a little jumper, had been just missing from a prong.
Okay, business question. Of the
Yeah.
60 computers that you had there,
Yeah.
what was the average charge to the customer to fix whatever the problem was? So all those 60, how much, well, where I'm getting at, how much revenue was sitting in the closet before you got there, and in a weekend you
We're
took care of it?
probably talking about the average of around $500
Per.
per system.
Oh.
Yeah. Because each system could take approximately, in billable time, 2 to 3 hours. So, so yeah, that's the kind of revenue that was sitting in the back collecting dust. And so I came in and I fixed them all, and I had them all up and running, and everything was triple checked, and I went through their process, and just made sure everything was cleared. And so the manager comes in on Monday, and I come in on Monday, and he's like, "Why is everything out front?" I was like, "Well, I came in over the weekend and I fixed all the computers." And he's like, "Why'd you do that?" I was like, "It's my job." He's like, "Dude, you're going to make me look really bad." I was like, "What do you mean I'm going to make you look bad? I just made you look great."
And then generated $30,000 of revenue.
Exactly. I was like, what are you talking about, make you look bad? And I was kind of, I was like, well, I'm sorry if you feel I made you look bad, but I was just doing my job. And go suck it. No. So the next morning I come in, and the owner, I'm not going to name his name, but the owner comes in, and he's just like, we need to talk. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm going to have to let you go. And I was like, okay, why are you going to have to let me go? And he's like, well, I've been friends with the manager since we were 12 years old, and he really feels like you made him look bad and overstepped your bounds and your position. And I said, so let me get this straight. I did the job that 2 of your guys couldn't do, and you're going to fire me. And he said, yeah, pretty much. And I said, okay. I said, hold that thought. I said, because here's what I'm going to say, I'm going to do.
And excuse me for a moment, and you were how old at the time?
Oh, gosh, at that time I was like 24, 25. Maybe so something like 20, okay. Yeah, 23, 24.
Smart-ass kid.
Yeah, smart-ass kid,
From Jersey.
From Jersey, right, exactly. Not a humble bone in my body at that time.
We don't do things that way out here in Flagstaff. We don't do things that way.
Yeah. I was a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. I was just, hubris, definitely. But and I said to him, I said, now, before you make this final decision, I said, I want you to just think about something really quick, and that is that if you do this, I will probably put you out of business in about 6 months. I said, as long as you're okay with that, then continue, please. Continue your train of thought.
Continue the process.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, he chuckles. He's like, sure. He's like, I've been in this town for 20 blah, blah, blah years. Yeah, you're going to run me out of business. He's like, I'm sorry, pack up your kit. Go. I was like, okie dokie then. Took my last check. Spent $20, $30 on some business cards that day. and got, Ben Fisher's, I think it was Virtual Internet Business Services or something. And, basically computer repair it just said, I fix your computers and your computer problems. And it had my name and my phone number on it. And then for the next couple of weeks, all I did is I walked around 2 miles within my radius of my apartment, and basically I just knocked on people's doors and walked inside, and gave them my card and said, "Hey, here's my card. I don't want to talk to you right now." I said, "If you need me, give me a call." But it said, "I fix your computers" on the card, so like 60% of the time people would stop me and be like, "Hey, we got a problem, we got a problem." Anyway, sorry, that's a long story. I did not make it short, but that was the igniting moment for me, basically, where I said, God, these guys are idiots. And like you were saying, they're leaving tons of money on the table. And not really, what they're not doing is not delivering value to the clients. So I decided to start my own company at that point.
And amazing that they were able to stay in business, and with the attitude that they had. It's the first time I've ever really heard something like that. But was that how business was back in that year? You said 94.
94, yeah. Well, at least for his business, and he didn't stay in business. He did go out of business about 8 months later. He opened up a bookstore. Yay, good for him.
94 was a great year in my life. Great year in my life. Now I think about it, I was in a major transitional thing, and busted out in 1994. But okay, so you saw an opportunity, and that's you knew you had the knowledge and the understanding. You knew where you wanted to focus it. It was just a matter of going out and doing it. So marketing lesson number one: door to door, because you were kind of you were a local business.
Yep.
And it was a door to door kind of thing. And the closer you could get to your customers, I suppose you were initially repairing them in your apartment.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And and then well, the success portion of the story is that about 6 months after I started doing all that walking around, I had about 150 customers. I mean, I had hired 3-4 people myself at that point. One who I actually ended up kind of giving the company to. And I guess that kind of moves into the second portion of the story, right? And
well, let's stop in the first portion for a second.
Okay.
The fellow that you gave the business to, or sold it to him, but gave it to him at a good price, do you still have communication with that individual?
Oh, gosh, no, we split ways, talking wise, probably about 10, 15 years ago, actually. Yeah, he kind of went his way, and I kind of went my way after a little while, because he ended up getting insanely busy, and I ended up getting insanely busy. So it was just like, yeah. So no, unfortunately, we lost track of it. We have lost track of each other.
but you split on good terms. You just wanted to do something else with your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was he was my computer manager, and I felt like he really deserved the company. And and all of the customers wanted me to basically start developing websites and web strategy. And that was my new passion, basically, at that point. So I was like, you know what? I was like, dude, we're going to share the same customers, but here you go. You've done a great job. Have the computer business. I'm going to go off and do internet marketing and web development now. And yeah, I mean, no, he went off and he grew that company, and I went off and I grew my company, and I mean, of course we shared business back and forth.
Of course you did.
Yeah, but we had the same customers. But yeah, I mean, it's but to be honest, I mean, I know I haven't kept in contact.
Well, it's kind of it's there was no, wow, I didn't know the ins and the outs of the business, but you've told me, we alluded to that the other day, and I didn't hear any kind of negativism in your
Hmm.
voice, and but you saw an opportunity to continue. Well, you knew who had the computers,
Hmm.
and you knew what kind of computers they had, and if they needed to build a website, you had that kind of information in your database already.
Right.
So it was a natural thing for you to do. So you had a passion then to make something happen. Make something
Right.
happen.
Yeah, and I think there's maybe a little missing component to that story, and I'll tell it actually extremely quickly. I'll make it very short. And that was is while I had my computer company, basically I designed my first website, and my first website had all the animations, dancing bananas, starry backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, developed in Notepad. But one of my customers, and I also had built a community website for Flagstaff, Arizona, which was kind of like my idea of building almost like a second life. But that's again another long story. So, but one of my customers saw my website and said, "Could you build me a website?" And I said, "Sure, I can build you a website. What do you want to do?" They wanted to do mortgage and personal credit reports online. I said, "Sure, yeah, that'll cost you 60 grand. Sounds like a good number to me." And he said yes. Um, and he actually ended up earning that money back after about 3 months. Um,
How long did it take you to agree on how long did it take you to propose? I mean, was it literally in your first conversation where you said, "Oh, cost about 60 grand"? You said, let's go for it,"
yeah,
or it was,
yeah,
wow, that's pretty interesting. Good.
yeah. I mean, he was a longtime customer of mine, so for about a year. So I mean, he basically, I mean, of course, we had a conversation about what we were going to do, and spec'd it out a little bit. But I mean, I didn't, have the web design experience at that time. Talking, back in the '90s. So, I was just like, ballpark. It's probably going to take about a month and a half to do it. So, it's going to take resources. But the thing is that, he saw his return on his investment within literally 3 months. And he did the thing that I say was the biggest, man, he was a total beep hole about it, and he told everybody about his success. And so that's why I was saying my computer customers turned into web development and internet marketing customers overnight, because literally everybody in town all of a sudden knew about the success. So, and then I started doing it for radio stations and newspapers and the Chamber of Commerce. So, and the Chamber of Commerce was huge at that time, because of the networking opportunities there. And, just meeting other entrepreneurs, really. And, from there, I mean, it exploded.
Okay, we're going to talk about another aspect of entrepreneurship, and I'm going to ask you a question. I think I already know the answer just listening to you. But are you familiar with a gentleman by the name of Michael Gerber?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, Michael is actually has been a mentor of mine that we didn't have a one-on-one relationship for. I mean, I read his books, so I learned by reading his books. I actually had the opportunity to meet him, spend 3 days with him a couple years ago. But he talks about, and he was the very first one to ever say that a successful entrepreneur, he wrote the E-Myth, and the E-Myth stands for entrepreneur. And his concept was, and we've had discussions about it, because I'm not 100% agreeing with his thing, but who's to say he's written books that have been distributed to 90 million people, and that kind of thing. But his basic premise was that just because you have the passion for something does not necessarily mean that you can build a business.
Correct.
And then the next comment is it's the successful entrepreneur will build a system within the business, and that's how that business is going to run, and then they will put the system in place. Then instead of working in their business, repairing computers, building websites, whatever it might be. They will work on their business, and they are the visionary. That's the lesson of entrepreneurship. I have to say that without reading Michael Gerber, you took that on as how you were going to grow and develop.
Oh, absolutely. Every single business I've had, the first thing I think about is scale, because I mean, I wouldn't say I come in from the attitude of I know I'm going to be successful, because that would be too much hubris. But I look at that end goal, and I say to myself, when I am successful, how do I need to be successful? And more importantly, how am I going to create something that's scalable, replicatable, and at the end of the day, doesn't even need me?
You have a system in place. A system's in place.
Right. Because really, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have one of two goals. You have the goal of either A, being sold and acquired, or B, you have the goal of sitting on the beach in the Caribbean with your laptop, and you got a whole team that's running the whole company. So or starting another business after you've sold your business. So absolutely right. I mean, building building the systems that can help automate portions of your business, and getting the right kind of people in place, more importantly, that you can trust to take care of your customers the way that you would take care of your customers, it's so important. And and making sure that you're really delivering value at the end of the day, no matter how you build that system.
And guess what system was most impactful to Michael? And he literally walked into a company, studied the system, and said, it's all about the system. That's how you grow a business. Can you take a wild guess on what company had the impact on his thinking?
I know it wasn't Zappos, but no, I do.
Too early for that. It was McDonald's.
McDonald's. Right on.
He went into a McDonald's, studied it, and said, it's not about hamburgers. It's about the system and delivering to the customer. Then quickly figured out that at one time, I'm sure it's still the case, McDonald's had more valuable real estate than they did hamburgers. So that was a part of the scalability of the business. So he's a fascinating individual, but you have lived and practiced most of his principles without even knowing that he was writing about and making millions of dollars. Maybe you should write some books and talk about it.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, thanks to my great partners, in Steady Demand, for instance. David Lindell is my partner in that, and he comes from a big background of building, scalable infrastructures, especially when it comes to outsourced customer support for the web hosting industry. And we have basically, when we started this company, we looked at it and said, okay, well, how can we help manage people's brand pages, do everything in the United States, do everything manually with our, for our on brand pages on behalf for companies, and still make it a profitable, scalable business while delivering a high-end value. Most companies that I talk to can't even realize and imagine how that's even possible. We did it through training and building software, basically. Our own software to manage our processes. We engineered services into products, basically. And so that way we could be very scalable and very efficient at what we do. And this is why we can manage, literally, I think at our Performer, we could manage about 2,000 different companies.
It's pretty scalable.
Yeah, and and that's just with maybe 20 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many different pieces of software have you developed?
Internally, we've developed about 4 different pieces of software. We've only released 2 of them. But internally we have a full-on customized billing and project management system that our people use on a daily basis to keep on track, to keep on task, and keep track of changes and things that's going on. Instead of using something like off the shelf like Basecamp or something like that, because I mean our business it's just very unique. What we do, which is just brand page management. And then from there we built systems and ways of automating things. Like a great example is the brand audit tool that we released last year, the brand page audit tool, which checks the connection of your website to your Google Plus page. That was born out of a frustration we had internally. And that is every time we started a new customer, there were these 7 specific steps that we had to look for and manually check it through the source code to see if it was hooked up properly. And so we said, well, why don't we build a tool to do that for us? In 5 seconds, basically check what the problems are and fix them. And so
the software actually says, here's the problem and here's the fix to the problem.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Or here's what you're lacking and here's what you need to do.
Yep, exactly. And initially it was just an internal tool that said check mark yes if passes, check mark or X mark if failed, and here's the fix, right? So
and does it actually do the fix?
No, it doesn't actually do the fix because you have to access your website and do all, and we're not going to do that. But it'd be nice if it did, wouldn't it?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Is that an impossible task to make the fix?
Yeah, because
you have to write some code.
Well, yeah, because everybody's website's built on a different type of platform, so could you do it with WordPress? Maybe, but anyway. But the point is from a scalability standpoint, is we had a pain and we solved that pain by building something to solve that pain, and then we decided to release it to all of Google Plus because we know a lot of people are still in do-it-yourself mode. So it was kind of our way of giving back to the Google Plus ecosystem. Is, hey, check out your brand page and make sure it's connected properly, and if it's not, here's some education on how to fix it.
So wait. You have positioned yourself so that you are giving away free information. Did I understand that right?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty. And that free information leads folks on to buy your software. Is that how the concept works?
Well, absolutely. It actually kind of works in 2 different ways. Because initially we were just thinking about it as, from a market segment standpoint, that if somebody's going to use the tool, they have a brand page, number 1. Number 2, we don't know what mindset or mode that they're in. They might still be in do-it-yourself mode, which is great. Or they might be in frustration mode, which is the pain point. Right. And if somebody's in a frustration mode, and I get these phone calls every day, by the way, where it's like, my CTO is yelling at me because I can't get Direct Connect to work. Or we've tried implementing rel equals author and it's just not working. And and we've tried your tool and it's still coming back as negative. So I'll get on the phone with those guys and then I'll help them out. And at the end, but before the end of the phone call, I find out that really they need a good strategy on Google Plus, and they have no idea what they're doing. And that's the thing is that they were actually looking for help, but they just didn't know it at that time.
There's a question that's come in that's not a specific one. It's more of a conceptual question.
Okay.
But let's take a pause and ask the question that's coming in from Steampunk Eatery.
My favorite gal in the entire world.
Well, actually, she was making a lot of great comments. Knowing that you were going to do this, was out there promoting the fact that you're going to be doing this. So I thank her also. But she says, "How
Steampunk rocks. Sorry.
that's fine." Is that what they call a shout out?
Literally.
Uh, how do you see the future of entrepreneurship going, changing, and evolving? And it's a great question. We could, you and I could spend you and I could spend hours answering that question. Why don't you take a shot at it, and I'll take a shot at it, and we'll see how we match up. Changing, evolving,
going. Oh my
going.
goodness. Changing, evolving, going. Changing, evolving, going. I guess you have to start by looking at just the last year or two. And that is that, I think that there has been a definitive shift in consciousness almost when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I think, at least in the United States, but because of the economic conditions, because of the fact that it's really hard for people to get a job, there's so much competition out there, and because of social media platforms in general and the internet and all the services that have kind of sprung up, we're starting to see the 90s happen kind of almost all over again. And this is kind of a long way of getting to my point, and that is that where I think I see it changing and evolving is that I think more and more people are going to take the risk to become an entrepreneur. Because the tools that are here and at their disposal right now give less friction to becoming an entrepreneur, takes away a lot of the risk that there used to be in being an entrepreneur.
Well, and there's another dynamic at play, and I've been talking about it for a long time. 3 or 4 years, I can remember my first discussion, and it's absolutely coming to play, and Google Plus is making it happen and making it work, and that's the spirit of collaboration.
Absolutely.
When I first started in business 40 years ago, we did our thing, and we had our customers, and actually I started building a community of my customers 40 years ago, because I saw that was a great way, and I was in the publishing business, and I had all the advertisers together as often as we could get them together, and we talked about things common and how can we help each other as far as advertising goes. So I've been doing it for a long time, but I have seen it more so in Google Plus, where people want to help. And how wonderful is it that you've got some skill sets and talents that we're talking about today. I've got some skill sets and talents, and after we get off this hangout, we say, hey, you said something. How can we collaborate with one another?
Yeah.
And we say, yeah, we can do it. And here's how we can do it. Then I can help you in your business. You can help me in my business, and together we make a new force that we can take out to the marketplace. And that is how small business is going to grow today. It's a different dynamic.
I was on Chef's show just recently, and Good Day Google Plus, which love Chef, by the way. Just got to say that right there. I don't know if you're in the audience right now, Chef.
How can you not love the Chef? How can you not love the Chef?
Well, exactly. We share the same weather too, because it's 77 degrees here. Anyway, no, but seriously, we and we were talking about this concept too, and I said my word for it is co-opetition, is that you should be able to collaborate with anybody that is of like mind. And I just want to throw out a perfect example of this, and that happened. It actually happened right before this show, David, and that is that Stefan Hovnanian and I are friends, and we're very like-minded when it comes to intent and strategy in everything you do, and we both work on the business side of Google Plus. And so we've worked and we've collaborated on a lot of different projects. And he's got the Small Business Spotlight that he started up, oh gosh, I think about 6 weeks ago. And, now he's invited me to come and be his co-host, and help with, the show basically. And so, even though we both do a lot of the same things, we're collaborating with each other. And you know what? It made the show better
Of
just
course
by
it did.
just by talking about it and brainstorming about it and then implementing it. Again, we go back to that word implementation, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, so I agree. I agree with you.
Well, and here's what's happening in 2014, because I see it. I'm a part of it. You just mentioned a study. Folks are getting together and they're saying, "Wow!" And we're learning about that individual. We're studying that individual in a hangout. We see what their mindset is. We watch what they write about, what they blog about, if they do. I just do videos. I don't do any. Do you do much written blogging, or what kind of? How do you communicate to Google World?
I am a horrible blogger. I mean, it's just, I'm so busy during the day. It's like I try and blog. I really do, but when I blog, it's like I want to put out something epic, which I really shouldn't do because I should be going with the Mike Alton rules, which is you don't always have to do epic beep, but like I do the social signal experiments, etc. So, but I focus probably more on just engagement with people on Google Plus, and I use that kind of more like my blogging platform. Before we move off of collaboration, I just want to give a shout out to somebody else who is in the audience, and that is and that's Mark Seidel, because Mark's done something that I think is really great for the Google Plus ecosystem in general, from a collaboration standpoint, and that is he's doing the HOAshows.com. And I mean, I want to put a call out there to everybody to support Mark in his effort and collaborate with him as much as possible, because with and Mark and by the way, haven't even sat down and talked with each other yet. We probably need to, Mark.
I did an HOA with him. I was the first HOA that he actually was featured on. How about that?
Very nice. But I mean, we were just talking about this though in the green room with Stefan, and that is that what he's done is really something great, because it's bringing collaboration to the table for all the HOA hosts and the guests. So if you want to be a guest, you can sign up on the site. If you have a show, it gets put onto the calendar. It's great for Google Plus in so many different ways, because it helps the people who want to watch the shows, it helps the people who throw the shows, and it helps the people who want to be on the shows. So anyway, I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. I saw he was in the audience.
Well, let me tell you another thing, a major announcement that he made this week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just a couple days ago, and it's with Lanny Sullivan, who was my featured entrepreneur last week. Lanny is launching an HOA herself within her community. I mean, it's going to be community based, but Mark is coming on the show, and basically her community targets women. I mean, that's what it's all about. Mark is coming on, and it's going to be Ask Mark. All these women are going to be bombarding Mark with no holds barred questions. And that announcement was just made this week. How cool is that? And
nice.
Lanny couldn't pick a better person to do that kind of that kind of broadcast.
Right.
Let's get back. If you're ready to move on, let's get back to a question.
Man, we could talk. We could talk about collaboration all freaking day long.
And you know what? I hope we never stop talking about it. I hope we never, not just talk about it, do it.
Exactly.
Figure out how to, like you said, it's about execution. It's not just about talking about it. It's about making something happen. But
I do want to give one more shout out.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem.
I'm going to be that guest. No, but and that is and why I'm bringing the shout out up was because actually my good buddy, my friend Dustin Stout, who's everybody's friend, of course, too, right? Who doesn't love Dustin? He just actually popped up, and as we're sitting here talking, and he pops up a message to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, want to do an experiment?" Now, me and Dustin, we do this all the time, right? But it's that whole thing about collaboration that's important, and what I really love about Dustin is what he did in his New Year's show, where he said he was going to be giving away ideas all this year. But anyway, that's it. That's enough. I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to bring that up, but just a tail off collaboration.
Actually, I did a feature entrepreneur session with Dustin too on a Saturday morning. He got up like 7 o'clock California time to do it. He's a great guy, and
Yeah.
that statement that he made on New Year's Day really had great impact.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it kind of set, and I've heard more people comment about that, and what a spirit of entrepreneurship that is. What a spirit of entrepreneurship.
It is. I mean, and but man, it's the karma wheel too. Because I'm sorry, you put out good stuff on Google Plus, it comes back to you 1,000-fold.
William Rock, a friend of mine, and I actually was on a hangout earlier with him today.
Yeah. Hey, William.
He asks a great question. How can a newbie on Google Plus use your tool? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as a newbie to Google Plus, depending on what your strategy and your intent is, right? Doing is great. Doing with insight and analysis is better. Because if you can see that you're putting out posts and they're doing poorly, for instance, and you analyze your posts and you see, oh, well, here we go, 90% of the time I'm missing out on putting hashtags and my posts are failing. So number one, you can just use it to analyze your posts and augment your behavior based on the grades that you get. Also, based on your behavior, you could look at the best times that you're getting the most interaction from your personal profile or your posts or your brand page, and you'll see like different times of the day basically are better for you.
That's a great comment, because I have never seen an environment, a business environment, that never shuts down.
Right.
It literally, and I have real weird hours. I go to bed early and I get up early. That's just my lifestyle. And so when I get up, I look to the east of me. I look across the pond, and I start interacting with folks in Europe. And then as folks that start looking over my shoulder westward, and as people are starting to get, but you know what, this is crazy. There's more and more people, and I hope Google Plus doesn't burn all these folks out. I see folks, I have to literally, I remind them, I ping them when I see them still online, that they need to get that they need to get some sleep.
I know what you mean.
Because they're gonna. We don't want these great minds to burn out. The body and the mind need rest. And then we have a common friend, and I won't mention her name, but she goes to sleep when the sun rises. I never heard of anybody that goes to sleep when the sun rises.
Oh my goodness! I know what you're talking about.
I don't want the folks to burn out.
Yeah.
And they need rest, and but there's so much energy. There's literally 24/7 energy that goes on.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? One other thing I was just thinking about for William, and William and I have hung out before, by the way, and I think William's a great guy. He really is. His heart is so way in the right place. But the other thing that you can do with the tool is we have a section in there for alerts. And based on your behavior, to excuse me, to help you with your engagement, We have little things in there called like lingering comments, for instance, which will send you an alert if you haven't replied to somebody within, say,
Wow.
7 days.
Wow.
We have
What a
things,
great tool.
we have something in there called lonely posts. And these are posts that you've made that have gotten zero interaction engagement. So, and we prod you and basically say, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe share that into a community? You know, something like that. So it's all about just helping you get the most out of what you're doing on Google Plus.
Do you want to talk about what your software costs? It's kind of interesting because
Yeah.
I want to hear something about that. I mean, well, there's no, what you have said to me so far. There's going to be not a. It's going to bring value. Whatever the cost is, the value of that is going to be measured very, very quickly.
Oh man,
Very quickly.
we haven't even talked about how we track all the social signals that you get, and also you can see what posts have caused either a rise or drop in your signals and followers. I mean, plus you get the post grading on top of that. But anyway, yeah, it's $24 a month.
You're kidding me.
No, 24
Wow.
bucks a month. You can find and there's a couple coupon codes out there that'll give you like 20% off for life. You know, you can find them if you just do a quick search.
You and Ronnie Bincer have created the most valuable tools, and so it doesn't take. How long does it take to get back an investment of $24, providing the value that you provide? 1 day, 2 days?
Yeah, I'll give you a real example of that one.
Please do, please
And
do.
that's Charles Heitz from Heitz Digital. He was one of our first customers when we launched the Pro Tool about 2 months ago. And he's got this, so he put out this post, and this post is showing his local analytics insights, and it's showing it basically his traffic's going like this. He starts using our tool, it goes beep, beep, and then hockey stick, literally. And I mean, actually, Mark Traphagen shared it just the other day, the original post. So yeah, so within literally a day of using our tool, his number of impressions to his page went through the roof just by taking the advice the tool gave him.
Unbelievable. Okay, we have time for one more story.
Okay.
I've saved this one for the last because I have somewhat of an affinity with the topic, the person.
Okay.
You did. And I don't know how it all evolved, but you'll tell us how it all evolved.
Okay.
You know what I'm going. You know
I
what
know
I'm
where
going to
you're
talk
going.
about.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
I met that individual in a restaurant in Clearwater, Florida, probably around mid 80s. I met him in a restaurant.
Right on.
And I went up to him. I went up to him and I said, I hate to disturb you while you're with your wife and daughter. They were all together at the time, and they were having dinner. And I said, I probably am the oldest Hulkamaniac that you have met. Would you mind taking a picture with me? He got up from the table and had a picture taken of me and him, and the person that took the picture kind of shot up the angle, and it looked like I was the same size as the Hulk, and for everything except his arms and his chest. But height-wise, and he's what, 6'7", 6'8", I think. He's that big.
This thing is a little bit shorter now, but yeah.
But okay, so tell us, and we'll end with the Hulk story because it's a great. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff about it.
Oh wow. Okay, so we got 5 minutes.
Yes. Well, you know what? If we run, we can go 8 hours. Google let us go 8 hours one day.
That's true. That is true. I'll be surprised if anybody hangs out that long, but no. All right. So that story, where that begins is it begins with kind of what Steady Demand's core mission is, and that is education, right? So our core, that's our core, is we want to educate brand managers and small businesses, brand managers to become better, and small businesses to get involved in Google Plus and how to really use it properly. So, being that being said, my background we didn't go into this earlier, but my background for the past 10, 15 years has been actually in the web hosting industry. I've been the consultant for basically every major brand that's been bought, sold, merged, or acquired, major brands, over the past 10 years. So, and so like I'm friends with like the people over at GoDaddy, and then also Mark Hargrove, who started up Hostomania. I've known him since he had his first brand, Jumpline. And so we were at cPanel conference, and we were talking. He's like, dude, he's like, I've got to tell you about my new project. He's like, we've got Hulk Hogan. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And, he's going on and on about it, what his plans are and such. So after cPanel conference, I got back home and I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, so what can I do, with a Hangout on Air? And that has to do primarily, I think it was actually one of Mark Jarpagan and one of David Amerland's posts that actually inspired me. But it was about the it might have actually been Eric Enge. Now that I think about it, it was about the 6 major changes that had just happened within like 30 days on Google. Hummingbird update not provided, etc.
By design.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So, but those major changes, and I started thinking about, okay, so what is the best way to communicate to small businesses that they really need to embrace semantic search in Google+? Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble. Because Google's even come out and stated that, look, if you're not on Google+, you're dead. You're not going to be found in Google. So basically I said, okay, so how can I get the largest reach for something like this in a short period of time? And I said, so I reached out to David, and I talked to Mark, and I talked to Joshua, talked to Ronnie, and I said, would you guys be interested in doing an HOA about semantic search? And I said, I'm going to try and get some pretty big people involved to bring some, more awareness to it. And so we kind of kicked the idea around, and they were like, everybody was kind of game. And then basically it's funny, this is actually the first time I'm telling the whole story. But so then I approached my my buddy Mark Hargrove, and I said, so dude, you're just launching this company. I said, would Hulk Hogan be interested in being on a live Hangout on Air? I said, not to be like hokey about it, but be more like the businessman and the promotion man that he is, and talk about that, and talk about how he handles engagement, and it's just a business in general. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm sure Hulk will be into that. So waiting for confirmation, then I go to GoDaddy, and I'm like, so hey, GoDaddy, talking to their marketing director, I'm like, we got this big thing planned. I was like, would you guys be interested in joining? And they were like, well, we're just launching our cPanel product and our managed WordPress product and our SEO product here real soon. They've gone through a lot of cultural changes, and so they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. From an entrepreneur's perspective, just to put that back a little bit, the connections that you make over the years, the relationships that you do keep, matter if you have the vision to be able to really implement them into something. So, but yeah, so basically, it took about 3 weeks, soup to nuts, to put the whole thing together. Came up with the title "Adapt or Become Irrelevant," and it was primarily focused on just business and semantic search. But we also talked about a lot of different aspects of SEO, and we tried to bring it down to the small business level, because GoDaddy was bringing in a large small business crowd. Hulk Hogan was bringing in a crowd from Twitter and from Facebook, and I mean, come on, everybody that grew up, from the 70s onwards knows who Hulk Hogan is, right? And the show actually went pretty flawlessly. There was one technical glitch, which we ended up overcoming. We ended up, Mark Trapagan ended up joining us at the last minute, and because he was coming back from SMX. And so we ended up having, I think, almost 7 people in the show. Dustin helped us out. He designed the graphic for us, and he actually came in and did a little bit of mobile testing in the green room. And that's where actually Hulk dubbed Dustin Mania. And then of course the famous Mark, Hulk saying Mark, that he loves Mark Trapagan. And I mean everybody just did a great job. It was full of pros. And
But didn't you have an event like within an hour before you were supposed to go live? Hulk's account or something was closed, or somebody,
yeah.
they thought that somebody was imitating, or
Yeah. They thought he was a fake profile, and that literally happened. I think about 15 minutes, 20 minutes before the HOA, and we're sitting there going back and forth to chat like, dude, what should we do? Should we have Hulk come on as a new account? Should we create him a new account? Should we have him come on somebody else's account? Should we do this, do that? And we're like, no, just have Mark and Hulk in the same room. Just do that. I mean, last minute stuff, and then there were even other technical issues that happened too. But Ronnie was a genius and fixed them. Man, we were sweating at that point. But yeah, I mean, no. So yeah, but Hulk had his account banned. You know, and he's like, I've never been accused of impersonating myself in my entire life. And and actually I just did a highlight reel actually that I just put out where he says he's gonna body press the Googleplex.
there you go. Well, I speak about Hulk Hogan, the businessman. I probably have one of the few, I don't know how many he sold, but I have a Hulk Hogan grill. Not George Foreman. I have a Hulk Hogan grill that I bought on television. I paid way too much money for it, but I bought it because it said Hulk Hogan, and I had to have it.
Yep. Well, he's got a club, a beach shop, a restaurant, a hosting company. I mean, he's responsible pretty much for the WWE, I believe it was, or WWF. And I mean, he is just he is a real master businessman. He's a brand.
No, he's a brand. He is a brand, no question about it. Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Hulkamania.
Exactly.
A brand that, interesting enough, has been able to go across generational gaps.
Yep.
Somewhat. Yep.
And that HOA, just to from a reach standpoint, I think David Amerland even posted about this on his site, had about 500 concurrent viewers.
Wow. Trying to blow Google. You'll show Google, won't you? Close my account down. We'll show you. They need to put an extra server on just to handle the Hulk Hogan volume.
Yeah, and right now I'm working on one where we might, quotes on that one, might have Kevin Bacon. So we might do, and I'm not even going to put it out there. Never mind. I'm not going to tease about the second one.
He was just on TV the other night and talking about what 6 degrees or 2 degrees or 5 degrees or whatever it is.
He was just 6 degrees of separation.
He was just talking about that on television the other night. I happened to catch a little bit of it. You'll be able to. Well, is it a confirmed thing with him?
No, not yet. That's why I'm saying quote unquote, because it's not confirmed yet. Quick story on that. We are going over, but oh well. Is David Amerland put out a post there about how everybody that was on the HOA is actually a Bacon number of 3, because Hulk Hogan is a Bacon number of 2, right? So, and if you star in something with an actor, you're considered their next Bacon number, basically. So he put that post, and there was a great discussion going on about it, right? And I said, and it kind of inspired me, and I was like, oh man, you know what? I want to see if I can get Kevin Bacon. I said this would make a great follow-up HOA to talk about relationships and semantics and connections. So I put out on a Saturday, I put out an image, and there was a big image with Kevin Bacon's face, and it says, "Kevin Bacon, let's hang out." And that post went off. It went nuts. The amount of support that was gotten for that post. I mean, Christine DeGraff put it out there, and oh man, we had this like literally like 215 comments on it. But what ended up happening out of that, and this is really just, I think, the awesome thing about Google Plus, is that we had people come out of the woodwork that were like, "Hey, I know his publicist. Let me give you his information." Or "Hey, I believe it's Mike. Said Kevin Bacon was just on Fox 11 News. Let me introduce you to those guys. Just people to support. And everybody plus mentioning his account. Saying, "Yes, Kevin Bacon, we want you, we want you, we want you." So I've been on the phone with our publicist about 3 times now. So
good for you.
We'll see if it happens. I'm not going to guarantee it yet.
I'm going to throw one out there too. I saw one of my I have 2 main mentors. I have mentioned Michael Gerber, and I had met him and spent some time with him. My other main one has been over the years has been Brian Tracy, and I actually met him also. I was involved in a book project with him. Actually met him, but the reason I'm bringing that up, he did an HOA this week, and I just saw it yesterday, and I was blown when Brian Tracy is going to do an HOA because he's the big webinar guy and go-to and all of that. He did an HOA, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to go after Brian Tracy now to do an HOA about Be My Featured Entrepreneur." How cool would that be?
Right on. Do it, dude. Do it.
I am. Just listening to you, you've inspired me, Ben Fisher. So thank you for that. You've inspired me.
I say this to everybody, and that is I mean, I've interviewed tons of celebrities, especially in the video game space, and I own publications, and the fact is that you can do, as an entrepreneur, you can do anything. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Oh my goodness. Why do we call it Dreaming with Entrepreneurs?
There is nothing that is stopping you except for yourself. And that's the whole thing. It's, a sales guy wants to pick up a phone and talk to somebody. Why do 90% or 99% of salespeople fail? They don't pick up the phone. If you don't try it, it's not going to happen.
Pick up that phone. I thought you video chat.
Yeah, I do that too. No, but I mean, but seriously, man. I mean, and I think you believe this too. Is like, as an entrepreneur, we have to be willing to push those boundaries. We have to be willing to dream big, because if we don't dream big, we might as well be janitors.
Beautiful. What a beautiful way to summarize our discussion today. You did a wonderful job in doing it, but it's about the dream. It starts with the dream.
Right.
And if you can, like you said, if you can dream it, you can push towards, and you can do it. And if you don't think about it, or you say I can't do it, obviously you're never going to do it.
You're never going
to do it.
Exactly.
Ben Fisher, thank you so much for taking time out. Well, I bet you've got another HOA coming up here in the next half hour or so.
Thankfully, no. Not
today. I do have one coming up in an hour. But
you're an HOA madman. Love it.
Well, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's the best way that I have ever found to share. It's the best way. So thank you, Ben, very much. Thank you for the folks that took time out of their schedules and shared some time with us. As a small way, of me saying thank you for your time today. We're going to take the video that's being created. We're going to put it on a landing page. You will have, well, first of all, you're going to go on to the entrepreneurship directory, and you might be close to number 50. You might be close to number 50 on that in that directory. You'll have your own landing page, and let's have some fun. You and I figuring out how to take that landing page and generate some revenue with it.
That sounds great to me. And hey David, thanks for reaching out to me and having me on your show. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with you and really with anybody who's got a dream.
Anybody who's got a dream. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you the next time. When you know what, the next time may very well be the best time.
Awesome.